again, sir.
Hey guys, how's it going? My name is Josh, and as you know, I'm on a mission, and this channel is all about real estate, personal finance while living in Puerto Rico. Please go ahead and like and subscribe to the channel. That would mean the world to me. I'm so close to hitting 100 subscribers, so that's wild. And if you are looking for a house in Puerto Rico, I have a Facebook group that I created down below. I'm gonna post the link. So jumping real quick into our subject, it's gonna be red flags that you should be looking out for when you are purchasing a house, either that's in Puerto Rico or that is anywhere in the States. And this applies everywhere, not only in Puerto Rico, but there's certain things that are going to be obviously specifically island related. You can just go ahead and switch that to whatever other nature or situation might be happening in the state that you're in. Number one is going to be the damages that are going to be coming from national disasters. In Puerto Rico, it's hurricane season from June till November. Very important that you know this. One of the things that you should be looking at is hurricane damages and earthquake damages, specifically earthquake damages if you're in the south part of Puerto Rico. Other than that, you should be looking at problems with the roof, damages with humidity, damages with the ocean. The ocean, when you're close to the ocean, there's going to be other aspects that you have to check out. So those things, usually, ideally, they will come out on the appraisal. There's certain little things that you can ask on the first round to your real estate agent or the owner and see what other problems has the house suffered and how were they fixed. Another thing that you should know is that houses in Puerto Rico, if they're really old, we're talking about like 80, the 70s, or probably even longer ago, that have been handed from generation to generation, those houses most likely have never been seen by an architect or an engineer. Might not have the proper qualities to resist an earthquake. And you're gonna be seeing this, especially in the mountains of Puerto Rico, that houses are built just crazy. Like, I'll show you some pictures right here so you have an idea of what I'm talking about. But they're just not approved by any engineer or any architect whatsoever. Therefore, how safe are these houses if an earthquake happens? And as you know, or you might not know, Puerto Rico has suffered a few earthquakes in the past year or so. Another red flag that you should be looking at for is, why is the seller moving? And that's something you should always be asking, doesn't matter where you're actually at. But why is the seller moving? Usually people that sell here, it's because they're moving from Puerto Rico, like to somewhere else, most likely Florida. And what happened is that in Puerto Rico versus in other places or other type of generations, you would say maybe millennials that are often moving, in Puerto Rico, the house that you bought or your parents bought, it's the house that you might be looking out to live in. So very often you'll see that the person that has lived there for 40 years, 50 years. Also, for you to know, very importantly, is that land, it's another different type of scenario, because people in Puerto Rico usually do not buy land to build now. They used to do that way back when. And they would do that and they would buy a piece of land, or they would inherit a piece of land. And let's say you would inherit 10 acres or 2 acres, whatever. That land was all going to be built with your family around. So there's pieces in Puerto Rico in certain towns, or I would say in every single town, that land or that community is completely family related. So the moment that you see this sector or this part of the town, it's all family related. And we're talking about cousins, uncles, aunts, grandparents, dads, mom. They all live around that area. A lot of people may want to sell their land, but it hasn't been registered and it hasn't been measured. So you don't really know how much land you have until you actually go ahead and go through the proper channels, getting the right people to look at the land, see how much it actually costs and how much land there actually is there. Sellers that do not want to budge. So let's say they have, and I'm gonna put an example that I just heard a couple of weeks ago. This person wanted to sell their house. Their house had been appraised for $400,000. However, the person put so much money into the house that the house was just not worth it. You have to realize that sometimes you can't keep putting money into a house because the value is just not gonna go up. That's just not how it works. Not because you just put $50,000 into a house means the house is going to go up because you didn't put those $50,000 properly, or the community is just not gonna be worth it for where it's at. So this person wanted to sell the house for $450,000 when the house had been appraised for $400,000. Meaning, if the bank gives you $400,000, the bank's only gonna give you the money into what it had appraised for. You have to put in those $50,000. So, do you have that amount of money? Would you wanna go further in? The owner most likely will not want to do that. So it actually is gonna come from your closing cost. Lack of customer service here in Puerto Rico. I've heard this happens in other states as well, and I've heard other real estate agents talk about this. But in Puerto Rico, and I'm just trying to talk about Puerto Rico because that's where I live and that's where I work, a lot of real estate agents should not be in the business. A lot of real estate agents don't want to either split their commissions, if I'm talking about a seller's agent, so they don't want to work with other agents. They don't want to work with certain type of people, so they will not answer their phones. This happens so often here. Real estate agents do not answer phones in Puerto Rico. So you either have to go to their office or pray for a miracle. Because if the real estate agent's not answering their phone calls, they will absolutely not answer their emails, because Puerto Rico is not an email-oriented place, so no one answers their emails at least properly on time. You're not gonna have luck. So what happens often is, and I've heard this also in other places, you put an offer on a house, you didn't have a buyer's agent, which should be your mistake. You should always be buying with a buyer's agent, because that's the person that's gonna go till the end of the world to make this happen. What happens if you don't have a buyer's agent and then you put an offer and now your seller, the agent that's representing the seller, doesn't want to answer their phones? What's really happening? And I'm gonna tell you, that person is most likely waiting for other offers to come in. Meaning, is there a cash offer? That's a priority if it's cash offer. Is there a higher offer? Is there someone they know that's buying this, whether that's an investor, whether it's a developer, whether that is a relative or someone? All those things happen, and that means you're gonna be pushed back into a corner, and they're gonna make you wait. They're not gonna answer your phone calls. They're just gonna let you know, oh, we don't have a legit reason. I mean, they're not gonna have a legit reason why they're not answering you. They just want your offer. They're gonna wait to see what's better, what's gonna come better for them, and then they're gonna make a decision. So it happens that, and I had a case. We had an offer. We were the first people to see this house, and I knew exactly that house is going to be sold by the next week. If other people come into this house, they're gonna make an offer. So we have to make an offer right here, right now. We made that offer. What happened? The seller's agent told me, I need a week. Why does he need a week? He needs a week because he wants to hear if there's gonna be better offers coming. So hopefully we actually get that offer, and I'll keep you guys posted. Another thing that happens here, and I think it happens everywhere, but is the amount of bureaucracy. Puerto Rico was not prepared for the pandemic. I don't think any city or any country was, but especially in Puerto Rico, oh my God, no, we were not prepared for this, because we were not technology is basically like starting to infiltrate our government now. Everything is just ancient. Even if you go to the private sector, if you go to banks, they just do things very old fashioned. And as I said, no one answers emails, so you got to be calling people, or you have to show there in person. And that happens with the electricity, it happens with the water, it happens if you need a government document. So be prepared that if you are buying a house in Puerto Rico, you need to be making trips here. Like make sure it's an often destination for you, because there might something along the lines might go wrong, and you're gonna have to go there in person to fix it. So up to here, I would love to hear your experience when buying a house in Puerto Rico and how that worked out for you. Hopefully it was a great experience. As well, if you're looking for a real estate agent here in Puerto Rico, my info is gonna be below. Until next one, I'll catch you soon.